Previously on Lost.
And she says, in plain English, I need to talk to you. And he's like, you can speak English? And she's like, yes, but my husband doesn't know. And please don't tell him. Michael decides that he really doesn't want to stay on the island anymore. Me and my son are getting off this island. And Saeed says, how? He's like, I'm going to build a raft, man. This video is Lost Part 16. It is the episode about Sun and Jin, and it is the episode entitled In Translation. At the very beginning of the episode, Sun is out on the beach in her little blue bikini, out near the water and just, enjoying herself. And Jin thinks that she's being indecent because she's, practically naked. So he runs up to her and is speaking to her in Korean and telling her, cover yourself. And he, gets a towel or something and tries to cover her up. Well, they're arguing back and forth in Korean. No one knows what's going on, but everyone on the beach sees this, and they're just there they go again. And so along comes Michael, because he thinks that Jin is, bossing her around and, being mean to her. He's like, don't touch her and don't, bully her around. Well, Sun comes along and, slaps Michael in the face. And then Michael's just like, okay, crap, and then, walks away. Well, now, remember, Michael's trying to build a raft to get off the island. So he's building his raft, and Sun comes along, and she's like, Michael, I slapped you because I was protecting you. And he's like, I really don't even understand what the hell you're saying. It looked like he was roughing you up. She's like, you don't understand what he's capable of. So basically Michael tells her, I stuck my nose where it didn't belong, that's fine, I'll just go ahead and stay away. Okay, elsewhere on the beach, Shannon and Saeed are trying to build a shelter for Shannon, because remember, Boone's playing Jungle Man with Locke now. And she's tying all these knots, and he's like, you're very talented, Shannon. And she's like, well, maybe we should, get some rope and spend a Saturday evening together and see what happens. And I swear to God, she says that. It's not me actually making it up. Okay, flashback time. You see that it's after Sun and Jin have been married, and Jin goes to work for Sun's father, Mr. Paik. He promotes him to be his special assistant to run special errands. And one of the errands that he sends him on is to go deliver a message to some man that he has a factory closed or something like that, and he wants Jin to go and deliver a message that he's displeased with him. Jin goes to this man's house. At first is really scared of him because he tells him that he works for Mr. Paik or whatever the hell his name is. And then he just tells him that, he's displeased with you. And he's like, oh, sorry, I thought, something else. Back on the island, it's nighttime, and Sun and Kate are talking in Kate's little tent hut or whatever. So they're talking, and then all of a sudden they hear some commotion outside on the beach. And they're wondering, what's going on. So they decide to go out, and they find out that the raft that Michael was building is now on fire. And Michael's freaking out, and he sees that Sun's there, and so he thinks that Jin did it because he was meddling in their affairs earlier. So he comes over and asks her, where is he? And everyone's like, she doesn't understand you. And of course, he knows that she does. And people are trying to put the raft out by throwing sand on it and whatever. And Walt even tries to throw some sand on there. And he's like, back away, don't worry about it, screw it, it's all up in a blaze, there's nothing we can do about it now. So Sun goes all the way back to the caves and finds that that's where Jin is. This is after the raft is burnt. And finds that, his hands are hurt and they look burned. So she asks him, you really burnt the raft? And he's like, I can't believe that you'd think that I would burn the raft. And he thinks that something's going on between her and Michael. And she's like, that's ridiculous. So he gets mad at her because he thinks that there is something going on. And so he takes off and spends the night out in the jungle. So back in a flashback, it's the day after that Jin went to deliver the message to the man that worked in the factory. And Mr. Paik's like, the factory is still closed. You completely, didn't deliver the correct message. So now you're going to take my associate here, who happens to have a very big gun, to the man's house, and he will show you how to deliver a message. So he goes to the man's house, and he charges in, and in front of his family, beats the hell out of him, and gets him just, all bloody and gross and whatever. So, he's, on the ground, and he tells the guy, I just saved your life, all while this guy is watching, and then goes to the door and tells him, he got the message. And so the guy's like, okay, I pretty much don't need to shoot him. So Jin rushes home, and rushes into the bathroom because he's got like blood, that guy's blood, like all over him. And so he goes to like wash his hands in the sink. And Sun follows him in and is like, oh my gosh, whose blood's that? What happened? He finally gets frustrated and turns to her and says, I do whatever your father tells me. I do it for us. And that's why he has a mean streak in him. So I guess that's the purpose of all the flashbacks. So elsewhere on the beach, Saeed comes up to Boone and says, it's very possible that Shannon and I will become more than just friends. Boone's like, been there, done that. Boone basically tells Saeed that, you know, like, you should look out for my sister because she likes older men who can take care of her. So I guess on the island that's you, because, see, I've already got my older man, is Locke. Ha ha ha. Well, now, Michael's raft can only fit 4 people, so Michael and Walt are going to go, and there's 2 spots open, and Sawyer took one of the spots, and then the other spots just, they haven't determined who's going to go. But anyways, Sawyer's one of the people that went on the raft. Well, he got pissed that the raft got burned, so he thinks that Jin did it too. So he went out into the jungle to find Jin and basically attacks him. I think he, like ties him up with, like, rope or something. So he takes him back down to the beach. Michael is still convinced that Jin was the one that torched the raft. So he comes along and just starts, like, beating up Jin. And he keeps saying stuff in Korean. He's like, you know, blah, blah, blah. He's probably saying, they don't put the subtitles up, probably saying, you know, like, I didn't do it. And everyone's, like, watching and, like, not getting involved. And then finally, as soon as he's about to punch Jin one more time, Sun finally speaks out and says, stop it! And everyone's, like, looking at her like, whoa. Hurley's like, dude, I did not see that coming. And they're like, you can speak English? And Jin is just staring at her like, I can't believe that she can speak English. Michael's like, you know, why did he burn the raft? And she's like, he did not do it. And Locke speaks up and says, you know what, maybe it was someone else. Maybe we should stop blaming each other. You know, there's other people on this island and we all know it. Maybe one of them came and burned the raft. Okay, elsewhere on the beach, Saeed comes up to Shannon because he's been thinking about what Boone had told him and said, maybe you should find another friend to help you build your shelter. And she's like, you know, like, everyone gets a new life on this island. You know, why don't we start ours now? So they're romantically involved. How about that? Sun goes to the cave where Jin is at, and she's speaking to him in Korean. He's just being completely silent. And she's like, you know, why can't we just start over? Why can't we just go back to the beginning? And he's like, you know, it's too late. And so back on the beach, Michael had decided that he was going to build another raft, and Jin actually goes off to help him. So later that night, Michael's back at the beach building the raft and whatever, and Locke comes to Walt, who's at the cave with Vincent. So he finally asks Walt, he's like, let me ask you a question. He's like, okay. It's like, why did you burn the raft, Walt? And then Walt's like all silent, like, oh my gosh, how did he know it was me? And then Locke's like, you know, don't worry, I'm not going to tell anyone. And Walt tells Locke he doesn't want to move anymore, and he likes it here on the island. And Locke's like, yeah, you know what, I like it here too. The very last scene is a couple of things. They're showing Hurley walking on the beach. And I don't know if I've ever mentioned this to you, but he's got his CD player that he had with him on the plane, and he's like listening to music. And so you're kind of seeing this all kind of like from Hurley's perspective. Michael starts building his boat, and Charlie and Claire are walking together on the beach and laughing. Shannon and Saeed are like kissing or something. I don't know. And then finally Sun's all out in her blue bikini again on the beach like, I'm free. He doesn't, you know, my husband doesn't rule my life anymore. And so he's just listening to his music, you know, like rocking out. And then finally, like, the batteries give up because he's had it all this time. And he's like, crap, dude, what the hell do I do now? And that's how the episode ends.